city in Florence, and why not? It's a work of engineering art, and it would deserve its place there.
I presume the first thing you do is you make a rubber letter, flick through the names starting with A, and you therefore put to one side those people who you think would be potential buyers to this. I assume, as Rob said, because the company has been approached in the past by people seeking to buy this particular car, you already have a short list of potentials. So then, I guess you then would get a briefing from say, here's a list of people that you put into, are they all acceptable to you? Would they fulfill the requirements of this down the line? And then go
All of the above, you're absolutely right. Mercedes-Benz has had a list of people that have approached them in the past about acquiring the car. And we said, well, we can start there, but you know, there's a lot more people that we feel should be made aware of this. And there was the process that we went through. We spoke to owners discreetly, we presented the names of certain people to Mercedes-Benz, and we said, are you happy for us to talk to them about the car? And they had to meet all of the compliance requirements set out by the board of Mercedes-Benz.
So when you get, sorry Rob, when it came to the day, how did it work? So was there a small, windowless room somewhere in Stuttgart where 5, 10, 15, 100 people sat on chairs facing a lectern with a bloke with a hammer?
No, Mercedes-Benz produced a beautiful book on the car, which was sent out to the potential bidders. Of course, we had to go through all sorts of pre-checks and regulations and contracts, but what was really done very well at Mercedes, of course, they have this wonderful museum in Stuttgart, but they also have the Holy Halls, which Rob can talk more about. But they have a private test track with a bank circuit, and we were honoured to take a number of clients down to have a preview of the car and be driven around Mercedes-Benz test circuit in Mühlenhauer Coupe. And I have to say, Richard, I've never heard a car that makes a sound like this car. The growl from those twin side exit exhausts. And in fact, Rudolf Mühlenhauer, I think, was partially dead later in his life due to driving this car.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's probably worth explaining why the Mühlenhauer Coupe is seen as so special, because the car was built in 1955, like you said, Richard, but it was designed to be an improvement on the 300 SLR, the open-roof car, which was dominating world sports car racing that year. In fact, the 300 SLR won every race it completed that season, most notably on the video, was a Sterling Moss and Dennis Jenkinson. And they raced around this in just over 10 hours' time. And the Carrera Panamericana at the end of that year, and also on the following year, there was supposed to be a closed roof version, a closed coupe version built with some better brakes and a bit more protection for the drivers on those long wheeled events. And the car was, there were two, they were built, they were ready to go, but then when the company withdrew from racing in the summer of 1955, and then the Panamericana was stopped just after that, the cars had nothing to do. So as he touched on, Mr. Mühlenhauer kind of commandeered one as his, or both of them actually, for his company runabouts. And there are stories and legends of him screaming around Stuttgart in race mode, effectively, with the blaring side exhausts, the straight-eight engine firing flames up the side, terrifying the people of Stuttgart as he headed home and went to his meetings. And he was quite a tasty driver, I think, as well.
Well, I think you say that his commute from Munich to Stuttgart was about 220 kilometres, and he would achieve that in under an hour.
Yeah, there is a tale where he went from the factory gates in Sindelfingen to the middle of Munich in a hotel. It's a distance, as you say, about 135 miles. It's the equivalent of driving from here in Savile Row up to the centre of Nottingham. Normally it took 2.5 hours, 3 hours in those days in the 50s on the new autobahns. He achieved it in 52 minutes. Which is extraordinary.
But if I may, Richard, just to tell the people here a little bit more about what the car is, because the body is magnesium alloy, which of course is very special, and this is a car that's been developed out of a Grand Prix winning car. Mercedes-Benz were twice World Championship winners with Fangio in the W196R single-seater. All of that technology was lifted and placed in the road-going sports cars. It's got a straight-eight 3-litre engine, fuel injection of course, inboard drum brakes, magnesium alloy, so it's very light. In fact, weighs 998 kilos, so it's nothing if you think about the weight of cars today. So, and 180 miles an hour, pretty easily I would say. And the noise from the exhaust is, and twin spare wheels in the back. added value. Yeah, twins.
Someone in race, I guess.
Yeah, it's to race, absolutely. And Ullenhaupt himself was a very gifted engineer. Before the Second World War, he was in charge of motorsports development, so really the brains behind the silver arrows that were driven by people like Czinger. And then after, in the 50s, he was in charge of road and race car development, so he had a big hand in the creation of the Gullwing, and also the motorsports department as well.
And born in London.
I was just going to say, British born.
Exactly, he had a German father and an English mother. So, but in one of a small tale, just if you don't mind, Richard, there's a lovely story as well of testing the W196 at Nürburgring, and in the break for lunch, Ms. Ullenhaupt was sitting with one man on Fangio, and Fangio said, look, the car's not really doing quite as well as I'd like it to, could you have a look at a couple of things? So Ullenhaupt put up his jacket and tie, jumped in the car and left the Nürburgring 3 seconds faster than Fangio, came back and said, well, I think you just need to practice a little more.
Great man, great man. That's a fascinating story, and I guess one of the questions that comes out of it, we'll talk about what's happening to 135 million euros as well, but one thing that's come out of it is that there are many car makers who have greater or larger degree collections of their back catalogue. Certainly in the last 20 years, it's become more and more important to manufacturers to re-establish their pedigree in whatever particular segment of the car market they're in, so that it helps to bring out new products that can link to previous products. So the result is that many car makers say towards being builds up this collection of cars, looking at their production history. They'll now be looking at that differently, looking at what Mercedes achieved with this, and going, how do we use our knowledge? Is it better to use the tool? Maybe we should realise that value is something else. I'm not sure all the dealers are probably because Mercedes are being around this, they see it as a new building in the factory or whatever, and we've got something that's particularly valuable. So I would imagine, Peter, that there may be other manufacturers thinking that they need to have a chat with you as well.
Well, as we know, the Silver Ghost AX201 is now in the private hands. That was sold by the factory after it being in the factories for many, many years, I guess over 100 years in fact. We don't know what was paid for that, that was sold privately. McLaren still own the Le Mans in McLaren F1. That will be a very valuable car, but I think at this point the magic with this is someone has now managed to obtain what was previously, for 67 years, considered unobtainable. Anything you read in the press will say the Ullenhaupt coupes will never be sold by the factory, but if they were, they would be the most valuable cars in the world, and that has now been proven.
And as you said, the rumour always was that they were the most valuable, and with this purchase of 135 million euros, it's by some margin the most valuable car in the world. And you mentioned, Richard, that the money's been put to good use. It's actually set up a new fund, the Mercedes-Benz Fund, I guess logically, and that's designed to help young people, students and school children with sustainability topics and engineering scholarships, things that can really help the next generation of engineers work on a sustainable future for us, because Mr. Ullenhaupt was, above it, being a crazy driver and everything else, was a very talented engineer. And that goes right back to the start of the company. The founders, Carl Benz, came from basically a single-parent household. Rodney Daimler, one of our founders, was a son of a baker and got his apprenticeship making guns. He came over to England and did some work here as well. And Wilhelm Maybach was an orphan. All these people benefited from the funded education, and they wanted to change the world. So the Mercedes-Benz Fund, this is seed capital for it. It's a startup money, really. Every penny of the 135 million euro purchase price is going into that, and it will help generate some interest. And of course, Mercedes-Benz won't just be paying funding to these young people and children, they'll be giving mentorships or access to other parts of the company and the factories that are otherwise closed off. I mentioned the Holy Halls where we store the heritage collection, but there are also research and development buildings, there are incredible design centres, there's all kinds of things happening behind those factory gates in Germany and all over the world actually, because these people can come from anywhere, it doesn't just have to be European-centric.
I was just going to add, Richard, just to put the 135 million euros into perspective. Firstly, from an auctioneer's point of view, we opened the bidding above the price that had previously been paid for the highest value car ever sold at auction. But that price paid for a motor car is also the 8th most expensive object ever sold that's on record. And in fact, with our partners Sotheby's, the 2nd most expensive object ever sold by them. You know, only beaten by Klimts and Modigliani's and great works of art. So that really does create a new perspective around motor cars as art.
Well, it does indeed. And I picked up one thing you both said earlier, was that part of the criteria for the seller, for Mercedes-Benz, was that the new custodian of this automobile would, in time, make sure it was visible. They'd show it, they'd put it into museums, they'd take it to events. So presumably, at some stage, we're going to know who that person is. And will that person then be expected to show it? So next, I am joking when I say this, so next year, can it be lined up here? Theoretically, is it going to be seen out and about at events? Is it going to be loaned to museums? That's part of the criteria, so that person is going to reveal themselves.
It certainly won't be hidden away. The car, as Peter will talk about in a minute, the car, one of the conditions was that it's maintained in public view, in effect. And over the past decades, the Uhlenhaut Coupes and the other 300 SLRs have regularly been demonstrated at events like the Festival of Speed at Goodwood, Pebble Beach, at Villa d'Este, places like that. So yes, you will see the Uhlenhaut Coupe out and around, and it will be running, I hope, and it will make that incredible noise that Peter mentioned earlier.
Well, guys, it's a fascinating subject. Thank you. A lot of people interested in it. Obviously caused a huge fuss when it happened, and I guess we're going to be reflecting on that for some time. And I think it may be some time before that record is broken, but there's interesting things to come, I'm sure. But thank you both for your time. Rob and Peter, thanks for joining us. Thank you. got cushions. Behind the headrest is cushions.
It's near the airport.
Okay, yeah, actually I do.
So all printed structures originate from that powder. So at the end of their life cycle, you can re-atomize them down back into a powder, which is amazing. Also, they're going to tell you which car is currently configured to run on bioethanol, but you can of course also run the car on recycled to make it zero emission. Because the carbon dioxide can be extracted from the air to back into the atmosphere. Or embargoed to yesterday.
chassis numbers
I don't wear underwear.
Designed to about